Welcome to Namespace as a Service and Workspace as a Service demo. This is the OpenShift console. We have the list of existing projects. So the demo starts with a valid login, one of the developers. With the first login, the dev spaces creates developer namespace with definitely a standard name, and accordingly one workspace is created and the workspace is starting now. And this workspace is nothing but an onboarding workspace, giving access to the onboarding documentation to the developer. So clicking on the onboarding workspace, it takes us to the web IDE, and then we have the onboarding documentation for the developer to go through it and understand the onboarding process. Going back to the web console, where we can trigger a pipeline. This pipeline has two tasks. One of them is to check out the repository, where we have the YAML files to create the workspaces required for the developers to start Node.js development. And definitely expecting some parameters, including the developer username. So let's start the pipeline. So this is the user, and we just select existing resistance volume for the pipeline. So the init pipeline task will clone the source code from the Git repository, where we have the manifest files, and then to provision the workspace, nothing but using the OC apply command. And then we can see that the Node.js workspace being created, and the associated pod is starting now. Just wait for a while. Now I think yes, it is ready. Okay, clicking on the pod to see how many containers being provisioned inside the pod. We can see we have a runtime or Node.js container, and also container for MongoDB, plus the container required for the developer IDE. So let's go back and open the IDE. So this is the Visual Studio Code, and we can see it's a Node.js application. Let's open a new terminal. First, we'll just add the Node.js modules using the npm install express. This will add the dependencies to the local folder. So the second step, let's run the application. Open the browser to test our application. So yeah, this is the guestbook application, and we can see that it's connected to a MongoDB instance, which is running inside the pod as well. So let's submit some data. Hello world message. Now we have one record submitted to the MongoDB. If we quickly want to check the data, we can add the Visual Studio plugin MongoDB. So yes, let's install it. So we have the plugin. We'll add a new connection, provide the connection string. And now we can see, yes, it's connected, and we can see the guestbook, and we can view all the documents inside the messages collection. So we can see now the record we submitted. So as part of also the inner loop capabilities is to start debugging. So let's open the main application JS and add breakpoint. We'll just copy the variable name, and then we start the debugging. We just select the Node.js debug. Started. So now the application will start in debugging mode. So the first thing is to open the debugging port, which is 92229, and then you open the browser again to access the application. So the application now stopped because there is a breakpoint. We can see that the execution now stopped. Now resuming the execution, we have the record. Let's add one more record. So going back to the debugger, we can add watch for the variable saved messages, and the moment we step over, we're getting all the details inside this, including the 2 records submitted before, and then we can continue the execution. Once we are done, we can stop the debugger, so the debugging session will stop. Also, for more control, once you're done, you can stop the workspace. And if we go back to the developer namespace, you can see it's only one board is running, the other one already stopped. If you go to the developer view, you can see that the onboarding is running while the Node.js stopped. At any point of time, if we need to start the workspace again, just clicking on the workspace will immediately start the boot again. It's starting. Once started, we can go back to the IDE to continue the development, doing all the inner loop activities, including coding, building, testing, and debugging. Okay, so at any point of time, you can stop the workspace again. And as we said, we decided to keep the onboarding workspace running all the time. Even if the developer is trying to stop the onboarding workspace, immediately the namespace config or controller will enforce the workspace to start again.